Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to this week's tarot reading. So, just as always, I will clear my deck, and I will ask my guides just to give me the reading for this week for whoever watches this video. To give you a reading for your highest good, whatever that may be. Sometimes the messages that we need to hear are not always the ones that we want to hear. But so far this week has been pretty good, so let's see what comes up. Okay, we have the 9 of coins, the 5 of wands, the king of wands, page of wands, 10 of swords, judgment, the chariot, queen of coins, the 5 of coins, the moon again, from last reading again, strength, ace of swords, the 7 of coins, and lastly the lovers. I always add these extra cards on the outskirts just to give me extra information. Of course, I will tell you what they mean, but for most of it, I'll tell you at the end what they all mean. So, now, we'll start off with the very first card that I pulled, which is the 9 of coins. Now, the 9 of coins, this is the current path that you're on right now. And the 5 of wands is the card that is either that is going to aid you along this journey, but in this case, it kind of is stopping you from that, right? So the 9 of coins, again, I'll show you again. The 9 of coins represents abundance. It represents wealth. It represents a lot of fortune, a lot of goodwill coming into your life. The current path that you're on. So whatever you've been doing this week, it is leading you to good places, right? But the 5 of wands is what's covered. It covers it. So what the 5 of wands represents, it represents a lot of conflict. It represents a lot of chaos. So within all of this chaos, there is still this path, there is still this journey that you're on that represents a lot of wealth coming into your life, whatever that may represent, right? Whatever ideas or journey that you've put yourself on, it is great. There's a lot of fertility coming your way, but it's surrounded through you have to get through a lot of chaos. Maybe there's a lot of conflict with people don't agree with the way that you're doing these things, or the way you're going about it is causing a knocking of heads, maybe a struggle of power, if that makes any sense. So we look a little bit at the beginning of the week. We have the chariot. The chariot represents external balance. So now dealing with this conflict, right? So when we're talking about external balance, it's all about dealing with what makes you happy, what makes me happy, what's good for the collective, what's good going forward for everybody, finding that balance to try to find a clean path through all of this, right? We have the king of wands. The king of wands represents you have to be a bit more assertive about what you want. Because if it is good for you and it's not necessarily good for somebody else, that doesn't matter as much, right? We're trying to well, the king of wands represents a bit more of assertiveness. It represents that confidence. It represents pride in your journey, right? Like I said, there's the 9 of coins. The 9 of coins is in your journey, and there are people that are going to try and stop that. The 5 of wands, maybe out of jealousy, maybe out of power, like I said. So that king of wands energy you need to live in the king of wands energy right now. So be more assertive, be more foregoing about your journey. Take some action into trying fighting for your journey, if that makes sense, right? And lastly, we have the queen of coins. The queen of coins represents dealing with that soft side. It's that internal wealth. It's that feminine approach to wealth. So when we talk about the king of wands, it's all external. It's bravado. It's assertiveness. It's courage. It's running straight into the fire. Where the queen represents that softer side, that emotion, that spiritual approach, that love, that energy. So in order to get what you want out of the 9 of coins, out of the queen of coins, that's that loving energy for yourself, that abundance of wealth, that fulfillment. You have to embrace the king of wands, that assertiveness, that a slight bit of out of your comfort zone aggression, in order to fight for what you want, right? That makes sense? So we then move into it now, speaking more about like midweek. We're looking at the page of wands, as well as the Ten of Swords. Now, the Page of Wands represents a little bit, I want to say a bit more of an immaturity, but it's more of a sense of a lack of knowing, right? So now, fighting for this journey that you've put yourself on, or that you're fighting to achieve, it causes, like I said, it causes a lot of chaos. It causes a lot of stress. The Ten of Swords represents a lot of stress, especially on the mind. There's a lot of factors involved around this journey of yours, and it can put you in a position where you're not quite sure what the best move is going forward. Like you don't know which foot to put in front of the other right now, and it can come across as a lack of knowing, right? But this is a great place for you, because this is a perfect opportunity to learn new things and grow into the person that you want to become, right? This Nine of Coins is there. It's in arm's reach. You are on this journey, but in order for you to actually accept it and live in that Nine of Coins energy, you have to first grow a little bit more spiritually, externally, emotionally, mentally, in order to keep it, in order to embrace it, in order to feel it with all of your heart and soul, and feel that fulfillment of the Queen of Coins. Because if we just get it willy nilly, we will either lose it very quickly, or we won't feel like we've truly earned it, because we haven't gone through anything, we haven't gone through any challenges or any lessons in order to obtain this. And the Page of Wands represents those lessons, those challenges, that beginning phase, day one of your journey kind of thing, right? Right. Then, moving forward, we have more end week, right? We have the Five of Coins, we have Judgment, and lastly, we have the Moon. So what these three cards represents, right? So the Five of Coins. So now, what we're trying to achieve the Queen of Coins, which is that abundance, that fulfillment, that internal joy. The Nine of Coins, which again is that external but overwhelming abundance of wealth surrounded all around us as well as internally. And what we get from all of this chaos and the stress and this mental strain is the Five of Coins. Now, the Five of Coins kind of feels like after everything's said and done, it's first going to put you in a place where you feel like you don't have that wealth that you were promised, that wealth that you've been seeking along this journey. It feels like that wealth has there might be a phase where it feels like the wealth has been depleted, that there is no wealth. There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That there's no end to this chaos, right? But in saying that, it is immediately followed with judgment. Now, judgment is your calling. Judgment is the calling card. It's a calling from your ancestors. It's a calling from your elementals. It's a calling from your higher self to pull you along this path. Although it may seem like you chose this path, right? There's bigger things working. There's bigger things. There's your higher self, the angels, the ancestors, the elementals. They are aiding you along this path, and it is supported by the Judgment card, because they have also put you on this path. And through all this chaos and all this turmoil, it faces you, or it gets you to a point where you have to then look at the dark side of yourself, right? Like I mentioned to you already, the Page of Wands represents that when all this chaos comes into play, you don't really know how to deal with it because you have never dealt with it before, right? The Moon aiding that, it forces you to look at different aspects of yourself. Where have you gone wrong? Where could you have done things better? What can you improve about yourself in order to get to the next phase of your life? Page of Wands and the Moon go very well hand in hand. You look at those shadow aspects of yourself, you shine that light, you become more assertive, you become more fulfilled, and you move into the next phase of your life, knowing that you are on the right path because it is your calling, it is your passion, it is the right call. Even when times may feel tough, you know that you're on the right path because what's at the end of it is better than anybody can ever, any other gift that anybody can give you, right? Right. And again, So now we're moving over to the next. So how do we get there? How do we get to that phase where we can feel that abundance and that overwhelming joy, right? So first of all, going through this chaos, dealing with that dark side of yourself, it gives you so much strength. External, internal, mental, emotional. The amount of strength that you gain from this, it's fantastic, because from that strength you gain a whole new mindset. The Ace of Swords comes up. The Ace of Swords is an entirely new mindset. So now we've gone from the Ten of Swords with all of those knives in your back. It kind of feels like you're being backstabbed and betrayed. You go from that to the Ace of Swords, where there's this clarity. You suddenly have a clear vision or clear idea of how you're going to map this chaos and go through all of these challenges, and you know how you're going to do it because you've dealt with all of the troubles within yourself, that the external challenges don't seem as don't seem as difficult anymore. You have this clear mindset, you have strength, you have your ancestors and your guides and all of them backing you, supporting you, and you're immediately met with the Seven of Coins. Seven of Coins. So now we've gone from the Queen to the 9 to the 5, all of a sudden losing everything, and now we're getting to the Seven of Coins, where the Seven of Coins is all about finally being able to relax, embrace, enjoy the wealth that we've achieved throughout this entire journey. That sometimes even the lessons that we learned along the way, all these challenges that we surpassed and overcome, that's part of the wealth that we've gained. We are no longer the Page of Wands anymore. We've now moved up. Maybe now we're a Knight. We're not quite, we've used the energy of the King, right? But we're not quite at the King level yet, or the Queen level yet, right? But now we're at the 7, where we can finally relax, embrace, share in this wealth, share in the knowledge that we've gained over these years, but over this journey, but also realize how far you've come and what you've had to go through, dealing with the shadow aspects of yourself in order to get you. It's a time for reflection, right? Spiritual reflection, emotional, mental, all the different kinds of reflection, dealing with that wealth that you've achieved. And the last thing that we are met with is the Lovers. So the Lovers, although it seems like it can be quite of a relationship card, right? You've gained a new relationship with yourself. You've also created this balance between mind, body, and soul. You have the male side of you dealing with all of the assertiveness, the external challenges, all of the 5 of Wands and 10 of Swords, and the chaos surrounding you. Head fast into danger. No questions about it. Definitely male energy. But you've also dealt with the feminine energy. You've got the Queen of Coins. You've got dealing with the Moon. You're dealing with judgment. You're dealing with all of this mental and emotional trauma, going through all of this chaos as well. And you are still on the path that you have been put on by your guides, that you have been put on by your ancestors. So you have that spiritual balance there as well, the mind, body, and soul. So the outer line cards, like I said, just give me extra information. So one of them is faith. So that goes hand in hand with judgment. It's all about when you have nowhere else to turn during all the chaos, you turn up. You look to your guides, you look to your higher self, you look to God, you look to your angels, you look to whatever faith or religion or journey that you believe in. Because some things are bigger than yourself. Some things are just bigger than what you can handle, you know? Then we have the Magician. The Magician reminds us that we have all of the resources, all of the elements, all of the suits, right? We have the swords, we have the wands, we have the coins, and we have the cups. We have all of the resources at our disposal to manifest anything we want and need whenever we want it. Unfortunately, a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what manifesting is. Manifesting isn't just about writing it in the journal or putting it on a vision board. It's actively also going through the challenges that you are faced with, the 10 of Swords, the 5 of Wands, in order to actually achieve that goal. You can't just dream about it and then, that's it, I've done my job. No, that's the start, that's the page speaking, right? That lack of knowing. Going through all of those challenges, that's how you truly manifest. You come up with the idea and then you try to go get it. You fight for it. we have the Ace of Wands. So we have the King of Wands, the Five of Wands, the Page of Wands, and then we have the Ace of Wands. So just like the Ace of Swords, you have a new mindset. The Ace of Wands gives you a new purpose in life. Gaining all of this knowledge, facing your shadow side, dealing with all of this chaos, it gives you a new purpose. Once you've achieved it, you can then go for the next thing, whatever that may be, your next 5-year goal, your next weekly goal. Let's just go small, right? And lastly, we have the Palace of Wands. The Palace of Wands goes hand in hand with the Lovers. So Palace of Wands is 7 of Coins, Palace of Wands. You've achieved your goal. You've gone through hell. You've signed the document. You've got the T-shirt. You've really gone through all of it. Nobody can doubt that you haven't achieved this. That you haven't gone through turmoil to get this. That you haven't earned this. You have earned this. You may not have a piece of paper saying, "Hey, listen, here's my certificate. I've earned this." But you have the internal battle scars. You have the external battle scars. You yourself know that you've earned this. You don't need to prove to anybody that you have. The Palace of Wands. At the end of the rainbow, you have a palace that you can finally share all your wealth with, or embrace all the wealth that you've obtained through all of this. So I hope that reading. I hope you enjoyed that reading. I hope you were able to take something from this. If anything resonated with you, please take that. If something doesn't feel right, maybe that's for somebody else. Maybe that's for a different time in your life. But at the end of all my readings, I like to pull out all of the major arcanas, because those are the lessons that really do stick with us for a little bit longer than a week, even though these are weekly readings. But we will see what comes up. We have actually quite a lot of major arcanas here. So this is quite of an intense journey that you have been put on, or your guides have put you on during all of this. So let's do this. Wow. Let's do this. These are outline cards. Right. Okay, so on the outside, we have faith. Faith represents when things get a bit too tough, to always know that you have counsel, you have support. Even though it may not be something you can touch or see or speak to immediately right here and now, you have that support from your ancestors, from your higher self, from your elementals, from God, from whoever, from whatever you believe in. You have that support with you there. And the other one is the Magician, knowing that you have all the resources at your disposal in order to manifest anything you want in life, right? But you have to actively seek them. You can't just dream about it and let it go. And then we start off with the Chariot. The Chariot is all about finding that balance, going through the chaos, dealing with all of the chaos around you, mental, emotional, external, physical, all of these different challenges, and moving forward, constantly moving forward, not looking back, constantly moving forward, fighting for that goal, fighting for that path that you have put yourself on, knowing that judgment, that the ancestors, that the guides, that your higher self has your support, that this is your calling, this is what you're meant to be doing, this is where you're supposed to be going, no matter how hard it gets. You will be faced with your shadow side. You will be faced with a lot of challenges, not only externally, emotionally, or mentally, but spiritually, internally, with yourself. You may find out that there's aspects of yourself that don't quite work with these certain challenges. You can't get through certain challenges without changing certain aspects of yourself. The old ways cannot deal with new problems, right? So you have to adapt to them. And that brings out some strength. You become stronger, not only mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, but dealing with challenges in the future will be a lot easier because you've dealt with similar things in the past. Right? And that finally leads us to the Lover's card, which you gain a new relationship with yourself. You gain a new relationship with your ancestors or your higher self, or the external forces that supported you along this journey, your soul team, right? You gain a new relationship with them too. So, if you like that reading, please consider giving it a like. Please consider following me for future readings, and I'll see you in the next video.